On behalf of the AGS Council, our members and staff, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Geography 2050, Powering Our Future Planet, our 5th annual symposium in the Geography 2050 series. We've added a new feature to the symposium this year, which we hope will assist you in following the discussions. There is an option to download the presentation to your phone or computer for viewing at your leisure now or later. Instructions were given to you with your symposium folder and are located at the Earth Institute AGS website, earth.columbia.edu/AGS. As many of you know, AGS is guided by the AGS Council. The Council has been a part of AGS since its beginning 167 years ago, and it has been made up of leading geographers, business leaders, entrepreneurs, not-for-profit specialists, and various other people, all of whom recognize the importance of geography and geospatial science. This tradition of looking for the nation's best, diverse, and inclusive group of professionals to steer the activities of AGS continues today. And at the helm of this group are two people who epitomize the extraordinary individuals who have headed up this storied organization for decades. Ladies and gentlemen, our chairman, Dr. Chris Tucker, and our president, Dr. Marie Price.
Good afternoon and welcome to Geography 2050, Powering Our Future Planet. Energy is the focus for the next 2 days, and we bring together thought leaders from government, from industry, and academia to consider what our energy futures might be. Bringing together people from diverse sectors to engage in productive dialogue about key issues is a hallmark of the AGS approach to education, leadership, and good policy. We understand geography is not a static memorization of place names, but a dynamic, engaging activity in which we understand a world that is constantly changing. One of our early and very dynamic directors, Dr. Isaiah Bowman, wrote about 70 years ago, and I quote, "To a revolutionary degree, man changes geography as he goes along. All geography is always new." All geography is always new. And when we think about the energy sector, nothing could be more profound. How we are remaking our Earth in positive and negative ways due to our demands for and needs for energy. So when Isaiah Bowman wrote those words, maybe the planet used about 1/7 of the energy we use today, and most of that was wood fuels and coal. Think of the energy mix today and the production systems that are shaping and changing many places. So in order for us as AGS to have this kind of event, we really rely on our counselors. The AGS Council is a dynamic group. They are the ambassadors for the society. They come from academia, they come from industry, and they come from government. So will the council members of the AGS please stand? Thank you very much, and I hope you get a chance to meet one of the counselors when you're here. Introduce yourself. For the first time at Geography 2050, we have 8 academic departments who decided to be sponsors and support the Geography 2050. And I'm going to call the departments, and when you hear your name, please stand up and let us know you're here. We have University of Alabama. We have Arizona State. We have University of Connecticut. Colgate College. George Washington University. Hunter College. Our neighbor. Welcome, Hunter. Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And Rutgers University. Welcome to Geography 2050, and we look forward to your participation. Also, we had us delighted to welcome 50 AP Human Geographers who are our AGS Teacher Fellows. Can the Teacher Fellows please stand up? Teacher Fellows are very important in terms of our initiative of working with AP Human Geography teachers, getting new technologies into the classroom. We had a mapathon earlier this morning where teachers were mapping different parts of the world using OpenStreetMap. There was even a mapping competition in which students were working in their local communities, mapping public buildings and infrastructure. So our Teacher Fellows are very important to not only our engagement with the education sector, but these are the people that are improving geographic education throughout the country, and we're so grateful to have their skill and energy with us. And lastly, we have a new class of corporate angels who are supporting us in our efforts, especially working with the Teacher Fellows. So many thanks to ADS, Acura, Envision, Geo, Dewberry, ESI, MSI, Sequel, and Orbital Insight for your support in these initiatives. And with that, I turn it over to Chris Tucker. I'm sure he has people he'd like to thank as well.
For sure. Well, first I'd like to thank you for coming. Who here has been to all 5? Stand up. No, don't just raise your hands. Please stand up. There we go. And Frank Crouch is going to speak again. So this has been a great journey for us as a society, and we're so happy to have all of you along. We realized, upon reflection, geography really started out as kind of more of a historical and functional discipline. You can't build a transcontinental railroad across the United States unless you actually have surveyed the United States and have a map that will enable you to make those calculations and understand what you'll do. Many things have changed since 1851 when the society began, and not the least of which is actual geospatial science, geospatial technologies, and what they've enabled us to do collectively to project into the future and understand the challenges that we collectively will face. And that was really the inspiration behind Geography 2050 as a multi-year strategic dialogue. We've been able to go across a wide variety of topics and themes since our inaugural event this year, focusing on energy. And this is only possible because of our sponsors. It's only possible because of people who roll up their sleeves for a better part of a year to help us put this on. If I go to the next slide. Our partners, when we got started, this is kind of like a barn raising. It's a bit of a family endeavor. Our partners at the Earth Institute were the first to step up, Columbia's Earth Institute, to help host us here in this beautiful facility, but also to help get access to some of the top thinkers around the world related to whatever topic we have each year. We are also very fortunate to have partners in the Open Geospatial Consortium, which is the international standards body for geospatial technologies, and the U.S. Geospatial Intelligence Foundation, which is kind of our sister in the national security domain. We also were very fortunate to have a relationship with the Fund for the City of New York, which has fostered many nonprofits in the city and made sure that they're healthy and able to convene great people and great events in order to prosecute their missions. But also the fund has been investing more and more in geospatial around the city. I know Al Leidner is somewhere in the audience, doing some great work with all the underground mapping of utilities. I know Jeff Zeiss is here somewhere, who's working hard on that. So we couldn't do this without our partners. Next slide. And we definitely can't do it without our sponsors. We have sponsors here in the room who couldn't have been more enthusiastic to support our activities, not just this event, but also with Boundless supporting our Geography Teacher Fellow program, which starts before the event and goes all the way through Saturday. Fulcrum and Spatial Networks have been there since the very beginning. They are stalwart supporters. And if you're not familiar with Fulcrum, you should just download it onto your phone and start mapping the world. It's kind of fantastic, and it's amazing all the people around the world that they have mapping using the Fulcrum platform. Next slide. And then all of our sponsors. Mapbox helped support the Mapathon this morning. We have many sponsors here with BAE and Esri, Leidos, Vricon, Thermopylae Sciences, Maxar, RGI, Radiant Solutions, National Geographic, Pixia, and MapStory, all supporting whether it's the coffee break or the reception later on. So please give a hand to all of our sponsors. So I just want to you're going to meet Mike Pasqualetti. You're going to see him on stage. Mike is one of the most accomplished energy geographers out there in academia. Mike is actually a recipient of one of our AGS medals a couple years ago. The Melamede Medal a couple years ago. So that's a high bar in this community, and he not just meets that bar, but exceeds it. The amount of effort that he's put into helping us put this all together has been fantastic. He turns out not just to be a great thinker, but a great doer. And we couldn't have been more fortunate to have him. I think we just called him and said, hey, could you give us some ideas on what we should do and who might get involved? And he just rolled up his sleeves and did it. So he's been amazing. And this is our latest in a long line of fantastic symposium chairs. So I'd like to, I'm just going to stop my remarks and bring up Mike Pasqualetti. Could we please give him a round of applause?
It's interesting, about 50 years ago this week, I made a trip to New York City, and I went to 156th and Broadway, and that's where the American Geographical Society was at the time, and I had such a wonderful experience there, and it's wonderful again to be back working with the people at the AGS. I want to make a few comments here as chair of the symposium. And I wish to extend my personal welcome to all of you and bring greetings from the American Geographical Society and my home institution, Arizona State University. When I left Phoenix the other day, the sky was blue, the visibility limitless, the temperature around 78. Hearing that may tempt some of you to consider moving there, but let me give you a little bit of truth in advertising. For 6 months of the year, it's above 90 degrees. Arizona is also home to a wide array of poisonous insects, rattlesnakes, and razor-sharp cactus. One of my students the other day suggested that we should build a wall on the northern border, but not of Mexico, but of Arizona, to keep out the climate refugees who keep on coming to us. But that caution aside, I cannot express how pleased I am to be here with you at the 5th installment of this multi-year strategy, and this one on the vital needs of energy. New innovations in energy generation, storage, distribution, consumption have always had a profound impact on the global landscape at every scale. And this influence will increase in the future. But I believe you're in for a treat. You are all part of an impressive group, one that is rich with talent, experience, vision, and I must say, energy. I hope you'll find the next 36 hours both fruitful and stimulating But I must say also, if it turns out to be otherwise, please drop your names into the hermetically sealed suggestion boxes that have been scattered around Central Park for this purpose. And if locating those boxes seems too much trouble, feel free to pass on your thoughts to any of the AGS personnel who are walking among you. A friend of our family, a very kind and engaging fellow, would always seek me out at cocktail parties and ask what I was up to lately. He'd say, "I understand you're a professor, but what do you profess?" Judging by the blank look on his eyes every time I said I was an energy geographer and the blank stares from many others since, I thought it might be useful to take 3 or 4 minutes to provide a bit of context about energy geography. So think about the dispersal of radioactive pollutants from Chernobyl and Fukushima across the atmosphere and across the northern hemisphere. Consider climate change, geopolitics, environmental health and safety, job opportunities, human welfare, how we get around, what we eat. Pull out a map of the world and place a pin where there are ongoing conflicts, and you will see a map that looks like measles. Crimea, South China Sea, Sudan, Nigeria, southern Bolivia, Chad, Libya, Yemen, Turkey, Georgia, Syria, Iraq. Do a little research, and you will realize that in every place, energy is in the middle of the fray. Look into the future and try to imagine the global effects from our use of fossil fuels on sea level and the mass migration that will come from coastal cities when they flood. Why is this all true? Because energy is needed everywhere, all the time, forever. All major considerations about energy have a geographical core. Where we will get the energy we need. Where will we locate our energy ports and our trains and our pipelines? Where will energy impacts concentrate? Where will people move for energy? Plus, where will these locations shift in the future? What impact will these shifts have on balance of trade, energy security, and geopolitics? Believe me, it's all geography. Geographers play a critical role in explaining where we have come from, the way we now live, and the life that awaits us. Geographers also gravitate to the highest positions. Vladimir Putin is a geographer. Theresa May is a geographer. Prince William is a geographer. And of course, Michael Jordan, who really was a geographer. And if you think about it, he had to know where he was all the time in three-dimensional space. Michael Jordan, where is the money that you would send to us? So what effects will we all encounter as the population continues to rise? When we get up to 9.9 billion people by the year 2050. Well, we're all going to need energy, and it's certainly going to be going up. As we find that energy, the needs for energy increase, we will also find that the location of energy supply and demand are not in the same location. They are not distributed uniformly. Back to geography, this means that we're going to have to move our supplies from areas of surplus to areas of demand. So in the end, we find that everything is connected to energy. I call that the thread of energy. If you look at this map, you'll see the distribution of where the lights are at night. This is where the electricity is. It doesn't mean that the dark areas have no people. It means they have no access. Australia might be an example of the exception to that rule. If you look at this map, this is a map that actually shows where the young people are going to be in 2015 and where they're going to be in 2018 and 2050. You can see that the young people are going to be in Africa. Under 15 years old are going to concentrate in Africa. If you look at this series of maps, where are the people over 65 going to be? They're going to be where they are, where they're going to be. Where they are and where they're going to be. It's like an ophthalmologist saying, is it better now or is it better then? When we take all this into account, We're going to find out that there is a substantial increase in energy needs in certain places of the world and some reduction in energy needs in other places of the world. Reductions, for example, will be in the United States, in Europe, in Japan perhaps, but there'll be massive increases in energy needs. This is in tons of oil equivalent, massive energy needs in China and in the subcontinent of India as two examples. Well, what is that going to mean for the world? Well, we're going to try to answer some of those questions today. And while we obviously cannot visit all of the energy topics, we are going to make a stab at touching on many of them.